Of course, we would have loved to have been with you all today in person, as we usually come together around this time of year in previous years. But alas, we've had to turn to technology, which we're very grateful for, and we're still able to come online. So as we wait for everyone to come together, and we just allow a few minutes for people to join us, you can see on your screen there, we'll be engaging with you on menti.com platform. So may I kindly invite you to log on to menti.com and enter the code you see on your screen, 57057155. And please may I remind everyone to make sure that you are on mute. Thank you. So, Greta, can we see the Menti on the screen?
Yes, Nada.
Great, great. Okay, so hello again. My name is Nada and I'm part of the KHDA Wellbeing team. I'm joined today by my colleagues Noha, Lubna, Greta, Kamaria and Luke, and together we'll be facilitating today's workshop. As I mentioned, we'll be using the Menti platform that you can see on your screen as a way to engage with you all today, our wonderful attendees. And as we wait for a few more people to join us, I'd like to invite you to log on to menti.com and enter the code 57057155. Please remember to mute yourselves. And you will see on the screen there, once you've logged on to Menti, preferably from a secondary device or opening a new tab on your internet browser, would like to know from you, in one word, what are you hopeful for over the coming months? And we'll wait a few minutes to see a beautiful collective word cloud come together on our screen. So I really love using Menti because it's anonymous and it really shows how the audience as a collective is feeling about certain topics and themes. So I really do thank you for your engagement. So over the next 2 weeks, we look forward to bringing to you 12 wellbeing workshops to our wonderful education community here in Dubai. And we're also being joined by schools from across the Middle East and in other countries as well. We will have a mixture of international and local wellbeing experts who have graciously offered their time to share their knowledge and experience in wellbeing and to help you further in your efforts in supporting a flourishing education community. And we're so lucky to be joined by Dr. Maria, who I will introduce very shortly. So let's just reflect on the word cloud that's forming there. Yes, we're hopeful for some faith. We're hopeful for some healthier times, for a balance, for peace, positivity, happiness, restoration. So a lot of positive words there, a bit of security, stability. Thank you so much. That's really kind of you all. And Dr. Maria will pick up on some of these words a little bit later on. So Dr. Maria Serwar offers us a conversation on what sustaining self-care looks like, how it prevents fatigue and burnout, and how, through micro practices, we might shape our days to become more satisfying, enlivening, and healthful. Many of you may have had the opportunity to listen to Maria's pre-recorded message as an introduction to today's workshop. If not, you can still access that awesome recording that is featured in the wellbeing agenda that was sent out to all of you as part of the library resources. So I'll go ahead and introduce our speaker for today. Dr. Maria is a master teacher, facilitator, and author. She is devoted to the science of well-being and the art of crafting a life and a work that embodies health, passion, and success. As a positive psychologist and consultant, she focuses on the resilience of the human spirit, particularly when under chronic stress during significant transitions and or feeling the shock of wholesale change. Known for her wisdom, authenticity, and humor, she brings a wealth of perspective from decades of study in the mind, body, medicine, and resilience disciplines. Maria is the author of 2 books, A Short Course in Happiness After Loss and Other Dark Difficult Times, and Every Day Counts. Her home is in Berkshire Mountains in the US, where she attempts on a daily basis to love her children well enough so that they too find a way to embrace the world with grounded optimism and a sense of their own strength. So it's very humbling to have Dr. Maria with us today, and I will now pass over to her. I'll be back at the end of the session to close and to facilitate a Q&A discussion. But in the meantime, please pose your questions in the chat feature, and do remember to keep yourselves on mute. So over to you, Dr. Sewar, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Nada. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. I hope you are well today, and it is such an honor to be with you. One of the conversations that we are having in the resilience field at this time is how do we sustain a kind of steady capacity in order to face the emerging re-entry questions that are present throughout the globe. The overarching resilience question, however, that I am helping others hold and holding myself is, how in the end do we make this time, this pandemic time, a time worth having lived through? In other words, what is it that we can create or cultivate within ourselves during this time, during these days, some of which feel ordinary and repetitive, and some of which we feel extremely extraordinary and out of the box? How do we make choices that enable us to feel as if we are growing, moving forward, progressing, building understanding? I'm looking at the word cloud now, building a sense of inner balance, such that 2, 3, 4 years from now, we not only feel that we got through something, but we managed to actually create within ourselves a capacity that enables us to sustain ourselves, our well-being, to a much higher extent. In other words, we used a difficult moment of stress to actually grow, to grow through the adversity. The conversation today is focused on a particular area of resilience, which has to do with the importance of integrating positivity into our day, and from that positivity, building masterful self-care. So with your permission, I'm going to go right to the slide deck now, and you'll let me know, please, if you have any difficulty seeing it at all.
Yes, we can see it, Maria. You might get perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And because this recording is available to you after the conversation today, do know that you don't need to worry about taking particular notes, that you have access to this material however you would wish to review it. This is a quote from Sean Aker at Harvard, and I just use it as a representative quote from the 30 years of study in the field of positivity, which points to that the knowing, the data that our brains actually work better in states of positivity. We are more cognitively open, cognitively perceptive. Our emotions are more fluid and flexible, meaning we can ride the waves of our emotions more healthfully. We actually are calmer. Our neurology works better in terms of its own health and well-being. So our immune system actually tends to be stronger when we are in states of positivity more often. So tremendous benefits of moving into states of positivity. Now, let's see, here we go. When I'm talking about positivity, one of the misunderstandings about the field of positive psychology is that we're talking about being happy all the time. That's actually not the case. Happiness is wonderful, but there are many states of positivity that we can choose to prioritize that actually bring us to that place of greater success, internal success, relational success, success in terms of health and well-being and longevity. And these are some of the primary states that we are concerned about, predominantly within ourselves as individuals, but also within the systems that we work within, such as our education system. So creativity and curiosity, pride, meaning, connection, love, and hope, in addition, of course, to happiness. So I wanted to introduce to you some fast skills that enable us to prioritize positivity that we can apply to work and at home very quickly. Now, something important to understand. Resilience, thriving, happiness, these are an inside job. They are not handed to us. They actually need to be shaped and cultivated, to be nourished through the choices that we make. So the skills I'm going to offer to you right now are actually skills that are super simple and yet bring us the most profound benefits. So the first practice we're going to practice is called Best Moment of the Day. And I just named two of the primary researchers in our field, Sonia Lyubomirsky and Robert Emmons, who are known profoundly for their work in gratitude, the area of gratitude. Now I'm looking to unshare my screen so that I can, let's see how we do this, so that I can return back to seeing you. There we go. Oh. All right. So in the chat now, what I would love to ask you to put in is the following answers to the following question. Whatever time of day or evening it is for you today, what has been the best moment of the day so far? What has been the best moment of the day so far? So Nada, I'm seeing people who have been invited into the chat, but I'm not seeing any responses yet.
They should be coming up now.
Okay. Oh, I do see one. So delivered a workshop in something I love to do, waking up my daughter this morning and cuddling with her. Thank you, Annette. Thank you, Lucia. Let's see what else. Being with family. Suha. Let's see a few more reflections. What has been the best moment of this day so far for you? The students at school, time with my son, a nice day at work. That's wonderful. Meeting with my colleagues, even if virtually, being with my children. See if we can get one more, maybe two more examples. Best moment of the day so far. Talking to my daughter. Quality time with my family. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Holding a puppy. Oh my goodness. Seeing a smile on my online student's face. Okay. Imagine for the next 30 nights, just before you were to close your sleep at night, you were to ask yourself this question. What has been the best moment of the day so far? Here's what you would uncover after 30 evenings. Number one, every single day, no matter how dark or difficult the day, has a best moment. Some days the moment is as simple as I had, my favorite food for breakfast, or I had a good morning cup of coffee or an evening cup of tea, right? Sometimes it'll be that simple. But every day, no matter how difficult the day my younger brother died of stage 4 cancer, there was a best moment. The day COVID-19 hit and 85% of my business disappeared overnight, there was a best moment. Every single day will have a best moment. Number two, because you're doing this as homework at night, you will be in the day looking for best moments. And guess what happens when you're in the day actually looking for something? Any ideas? We actually see them. You see, they are there and present every day. Everything that you just articulated in the chat happens on ordinary days, right? We see smiles. Sometimes we have a chance to hold a puppy. We call home. We have a good meeting with a student. Those moments happen. These what Barbara Fredrickson calls micro moments of positivity, happen every single day. But we forget to attend to them because we are often so busy in our sort of anxiety-based minds, worrying about what we need to get done or what hasn't gone as well or what needs to happen in the future tomorrow, that we miss the beauty of the present moment. The most resilient of us, now let's tie this back to resilient, the most resilient of us manage the difficulties. We don't deny that things are difficult, but we spend most of our time, energy, and attention attending to that which is good within ourselves and around ourselves. So not only will we learn that every day has a best moment, we will be in the day looking for them, which means we see them more often and become better at savoring them. The third thing that will happen is over 30 days, the neurons that fire together in states of positivity begin to wire together more strongly. So over 30 days, we begin to build a brain that is much more easily wired toward the good. Why is this important? Because in states of positivity, again, not only do our brains work better, we are more creative, strategic, collaborative, cooperative, satisfied with life, happier, healthier, and we make better choices in the most difficult moments. So best moment of the day, very simple exercise, incredibly impactful. The second fast skill I want to teach you before we move specifically to self-care has to do with something called celebrating small gains. This is work done by Teresa Amabile at Harvard and her colleague Stephen Kramer. I'm just typing in the chats. Oh, that was a misspelling. Celebrating small gains or small wins. So now I'd like you to post in the chat one thing that in the last, let's say in the last couple of months, you feel proud of, a small gain, a small win, a small piece of positive progress you have made. So what is a small gain? Please post in the chat. And Asma, I see your question. I will get to that a little bit later. Thank you for your question. What is a small gain you can feel proud of over the last couple of months, either at work or at home? And if you can post that in the chat. More tech savvy. Yes, absolutely. Hi, Vanessa. Helping a student to feel a little better. Thank you for that. More me time in the morning. Gorgeous. Begun to find a better work-life balance. Absolutely. Let's see if we can, my children are still going to school. Nada, congratulations. I've been blessed with a daughter. Oh my, that's wonderful. I learned to play an instrument. Beautiful. Well done, Lucia. Excellent. Now, what Amabile and her colleagues have discovered is that within teams, within systems, so you can think of your family as a system, you can think of your community as a system, and certainly the educational settings that you're in are systems. Within teams, in systems, we do better when we periodically pause and celebrate small gains, when we actually build it into the structure of our workday or our living. So at home, we might do this as, you know, every couple of weeks, pausing and saying, hey, let's all just go around the table and acknowledge some kind of progress or win that we've made. If the children are young, certainly for the parents to model this, and then over time for that to become a habit of the family. At work, to build this into the structure of your weekly or quarterly meetings. What is it that happens to teams who periodically celebrate gains? Number one, they become more satisfied at work. Number two, they find themselves more resilient, more able to navigate the ups and downs of the pandemic, for example. And number three, it builds absolutely a feeling of happiness, a feeling of inner strength, and an awareness that even though we may not have achieved all the goals we want to achieve, we absolutely have made progress. And in that word cloud that we had at the beginning, when I asked you what you were hopeful for, many of you have wrote in, I want a sense of progression or forward progress. Celebrating gains builds such good resonant satisfaction for the the groups that we participate in. So I've taught you now a fast skill that has to do for the individual, best moment of the day, and now a skill that has to do with the system within you work within, which is about, let's see how I can get, here we go. Which is about acknowledging, oh, I'm not sure why I had to go back to the beginning. I'm sorry about that. Acknowledging our needs. You could mute yourself upon entering. That would be wonderful. Does everybody? Thank you. Now, the third fast skill, we want to move to this territory of self-care, which is our main focus today. And the conversation here is, once a day, imagine waking up in the morning and asking yourself the following question: what might nourish, strengthen, or calm me today? You see, the most resilient of us, actually understand that we must take the day we have been given and shape the day. Resilience is a stance of personal leadership. It requires us to actually consciously, mindfully strengthen, calm, or nourish ourselves. So imagine that in the morning you wake up, you ask yourself this one question, and I would ask you to just choose one. Today I might need more nourishment, more a sense of taking care of myself, my body, my health. Or another day you might feel like I need to feel stronger within myself. On a third day you might feel I need to calm myself down, be less worried, less anxious, less stressed. Any one day these choices are available to ourselves. So now let's put into the chat. I'd like you to look at this question, choose one of these elements, just one, and type an answer in the chat. Now, again, you don't even need to tell us which of the elements you're choosing, but imagine for the rest of the day, whatever you have available to you, you might choose to nourish or strengthen or calm yourself. In what way? So let's throw those answers in the chat now as well. How might you nourish, strengthen, or calm yourself? Let's see if I can find the chat. There we go. How might we nourish, strengthen, or calm ourselves? Through sleep, says Lisa. Yes. Recognizing that my family is still safe. Exercise makes me feel stronger. Absolutely. Not get too anxious. Calming myself. Vanessa, in what way? You would want to ask yourself, how might I calm myself today? Yep. Organizing a catch up with a good friend. I imagine that's strengthening. A proper nap, sleep, practicing guitar. Gorgeous examples. Having a cup of coffee with my family. Call with my family. Beautiful. The long walks many of us are taking. I live in the mountains and it's quite easy to take a long walk every single day. The dripping of the water sound, how beautiful. How beautiful is that? I hope what you're beginning to understand through these fast skills is that resilience isn't something that is incredibly profoundly difficult. It is actually built step by step, moment by moment, by taking the day we have been given and actually making choices that nourish us, calm us, or strengthen us. That is a stance of personal leadership, that no matter what the day we have, and no matter how complicated, no matter how stressed, no matter how disappointing, no matter how boring, one of the conversations that is being held often now in the Zoom classrooms on resilience has to do with this, what we call languishing, this kind of daily dread or daily disappointment or daily boredom, daily just unsettledness. Nothing is terribly hard in many homes, but nothing is really wonderful either, right? And so we can, even in those states, take a day and shape it such that it works for us. Ultimately, what we're looking to do what we're looking to do is find our way into a daily practice where we put ourselves at the center of our own day. Again, because resilience is an inside job, it behooves us to put ourselves at the center of our own day. So these fast skills begin the morning with self-care. In the middle of the day, periodically, once a week, once a month, celebrate small wins. And every evening, ask oneself what the best moment of the day is. These are fast skills that will actually cultivate within you a regular sustaining capacity to build in the positive no matter the day. Now let's deepen a bit more into this territory of self-care. One of the things that we have come to understand about the question of self-care is that most self-care practices, or many self-care practices, are helpful, but they are insufficient. The 1980s, 1990s version of self-care, which I'm sure many of you have know about, is the following: that we ought to exercise on a daily basis, we ought to make sure we're getting enough sleep, and we ought to eat mindfully, have healthy nutrition. And then sometime in the 90s, we added in, we ought to be practicing on a daily basis some form of mindfulness, some form of meditation. That structure is actually foundational. It's quite helpful, but it is insufficient because of the following reason. Most stress is actually relational. It isn't about us taking care of our bodies as much as stress occurs within relationships, the colleague that we're struggling with, the students that we're worried about, the partner that we're having a difficult time with at home, the family member who has no longer talking to us, or the system that we are in that isn't supporting our health and well-being. And because most stress is relational, that early model of self-care is not sufficient. So I wanted to bring to you a model now that was developed with conversation over many years with Tal Ben-Shahar, who is a world thought leader in our field, that we call self-fullness, which means being full enough within ourselves that we have much to give. In other words, we have filled ourselves with enough nutrition and oxygen and health and well-being that we can show up in our days so full that we have much to do, much to offer, much to serve forward, much to create. So I'd like, wherever you are now, is to gather a piece of paper, and you can do this as a list, or you can do this as a pie chart, or 6 circles, but I'd like you to sort of create six boxes, if you will. I'm going to introduce the themes to you of self-fullness or masterful self-care one by one. And as we go through them, I'd like you to actually give yourself an example. So we'll start with the first one, which is foundational self-care. And this is what we've already just touched into, actions that are nourishing, uplifting, or strengthening. This is, again, the foundation of all good self-care. So I'd love for you to give yourself an example of a way in which you have either nourished yourself or strengthened yourself in recent days. Just one example. Wonderful. The second element of our model has to do with positive self-regard. This refers to treating oneself as if you are your own best friend with respect. The key word here is respect. I have, a couple of years ago, I herniated a disc in my back. And if you could see the chair that I'm sitting in, I'm propped up with a pillow behind myself. It is one of the ways I treat myself with respect, as I make sure I have the right props for my body. Another way I treat myself with respect is by making sure that I'm in between teaching sessions, I have at least a few minutes to get up and walk around, so that not only can I clear my mind and my heart, but I can treat my back with respect by doing what needs to happen in order to sustain myself throughout the day. So please take a moment and give yourself one way in which you emotionally, mentally, physically, Relationally, treat yourself with respect. The third element has to do with self-compassion, that it is very difficult to actually care for oneself well without activating kindness or forgiveness periodically. This next phrase is from Tal Ben-Shahar, permission to be human, permission to actually not be perfect, permission to make mistakes, permission to not know, permission to simply be human. So what is one, can you remember or recall a way in which you are kind to yourself or forgiving of yourself in recent weeks? Just one example. And some of these categories will be easier to answer than others, fair enough. Just see if you can remind yourself of one way in which you are kind or have been forgiving of yourself. Beautiful. The fourth element has to do with self-esteem. And self-esteem has two components to it. It is the element of self-worth, feeling as if we matter, we are valuable, but also the element of confidence, of efficacy. I can make things happen on my own behalf. And as adults, self-esteem is actually built by watching ourselves do the brave thing, by saying the brave thing or making something brave happen. I recently tried mountain biking for the first time. That was physically brave. Emotionally, sometimes I am brave by being vulnerable and letting people know how deeply I care for them, right? So many ways of actually being brave. Let's see if we can write down one way in which we have been brave over the last few months. Our fifth category, one that can be quite difficult for those of us who care deeply for others, such as those of us in the education profession, saying no, setting and holding healthy boundaries. What is one boundary that you have set in the last 6 months? One boundary that you have set for yourself, a healthy boundary that you've been able to set and hold. And our last category is saying yes. And this is about actively choosing life, experimenting with life, following what we love, actually filling our days when possible with the things that we love most, gardening or puzzles or walking, the city streets or walking along the beach or playing with the puppies, actually choosing life, saying yes to ourselves. So what is one way in which you have said yes to life, yes to yourself recently? Beautiful. Okay. Now, this is a model that I know, some of the elements you may not have been paying much attention to recently. That's not a problem. It's important that you know about them. You may have found that some of the answers to one category actually, are answers that you could actually write in one or two categories. That's fine too. That some of the ways I treat myself with respect is also some of the ways that I set healthy boundaries. That's fine. That's beautiful. And I'm seeing some answers in the chat. Now, what I would like you to do is take each of those elements. You have the 6 elements. And in a minute, I can put the slideshow back up. And I'd like you to give each element a rating, meaning you give yourself a score. No, a score of 1 means, oh, I could use a lot of help in that category. And a score of 10 means I'm awesome in that category. So I want you to give yourself a rating of 1 to 10 in each category, 1 to 10. And Nada, in just a minute, if it's possible, let me know if we're going to be able to go into the breakout rooms or not.
Yes, we have about 80 people, so we can organize around 40 breakout rooms.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So everybody, if you can just give yourself a score for each category. 1 means, oh, I could use a lot of help with that category. And 10 means I'm awesome at that. Okay. Now, here's what you're going to discover. For many of you, you're going to have some low scores in some categories and higher scores in others. Some of you are going to find that you are, about a 5 in all of them, right? Some of you, I'm getting a little sunshine here, which is wonderful. Some of you are going to find that you're lower in a category that you used to be stronger in. And some of you are going to be surprised that you actually feel like you're doing better than you realize. All of that is normal and natural. What's important now is not to focus on where you are low, but rather to focus on what you are most fascinated by or interested in, and what is most going to elevate you. What is most going to elevate you. So I'm going to put the slide back up now. What I'd like you to pay attention to is which of these categories is the most fascinating to you right now. In other words, given whatever your life is like, whatever the stressors are in your life, which of these do you feel will be the most life-giving? The most life-giving. I don't want you to focus on the category that you are the least good at this time. I want you to focus on the category that is the most life-giving. I'd like you to choose one, and then in about 30 seconds, I'm going to ask Nada to put you in breakout rooms, and I'd like you to share that conversation. So in other words, you're going to be sharing with your partner or partners the category that's going to be the most interesting, fascinating, and life-giving for you to pay attention to right now. So Nada, are you ready in just a few seconds to put people into the breakout rooms?
Yes, it'll take about 30 seconds to move people into their respective rooms.
Great. And then they will be in for about 5 minutes, if that's okay.
Sure, and then we'll come back and continue the discussion with Dr. Maria.
Wonderful. So please put them in their rooms, and I will see you in 5 minutes.
Okay, it's just taking a little bit of time.
You might have 3 people unassigned.
Yes, so Lucia, hi Lucia. Oh, she's going, okay. I think a couple of people that are left because they joined the meeting a little bit late. I mean, they came in after I assigned the rooms.
Yeah. Junaid, are we able to add new people to existing rooms?
I think you can. I believe you can.
Maria, was that you? How come you're not in a room?
Yeah, I'm surprised as well. I'm here. I'm not. I thought I was going to a room, and then yeah, I just moved here.
Good afternoon. For those who are just joining us for the session, we are currently using breakout rooms. We are trying to find a way to assign you to one of these rooms. So just bear with us. Otherwise, the main session will start again in 5 minutes.
Yeah, we'll just keep you in here because the activity has already been introduced by Maria. So even if we pop you into groups, I found her. See, I didn't want certain people assigned, but hi, Maria.
Hi.
Did you end up going to a room?
I must have gone to a room. Yeah, I texted you. It's all dark in here.
Okay, we're back. It seems if people have entered the room after the meeting rooms have been organized, they cannot be assigned.
Okay.
Okay, so let me know when you want to bring people back in.
One more minute.
Okay. Ah, yes, I've got it. So I've got here, there are some people that are not on compatible devices. I've got here that there's a few people that are not on compatible devices, so we're not able to move them into the breakout rooms. Hello, Beverly, Usha, Andalib, Afshin, Salome, Azita. We've just broken up, we've just put everyone into breakout rooms at the moment. I know you've just joined us now, but just bear with us. We'll be going back to the main presentation in a couple of minutes. Okay, Mary, just let me know when you want to bring it back in. Is Maria with us?
No, she's not here at the moment.
Okay, I'm just closing the rooms now and we'll return to the main lobby. Okay, please remember to mute yourselves on entry. Okay, people are slowly now coming back in.
Are we going back to class?
I think so.
Hello and welcome back to the main lobby. Here we go. Hi, Maria. Okay, thank you.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to be with each other. There's just one more slide that I want to show you, and then we will open up for questions.
Maria, please unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Yes, thank you. This notion of self-care rests on the choices that we make every single day to nourish ourselves. I wanted to just give you the questions that actually help bring ourselves to a better place every single day. In terms of the self-care aspect, does this choice enable me to feel better, calmer, more rested, more energized, happier, stronger, more ready to actually face life? In terms of positive self-regard, treating oneself as one's own best friend. This is about staying in integrity, honoring our values, elevating virtues, standing in a sense of personal dignity. This is actually what treating ourselves with respect means. Self-compassion is about allowing ourselves to be imperfect, to not know everything, to make mistakes, to actually fail and then rise and try again, right? And then in terms of self-esteem, are we brave on our own behalf or on behalf of what is meaningful to us in the world? Can we invite ourselves into 3%, 2%, 5% more courage? In terms of boundaries, what are we prepared to say no to at this time in the service of our health and well-being? We cannot grow, we cannot build resilience without healthy boundaries. And saying yes to life is, are we tracking? And by tracking, I mean like people who follow the scent of something, like a tracker will track, a fox will track a rabbit, right? Are we tracking what we love? Are we giving ourselves permission to actually enjoy and fill our lives? So those are the deepening questions that actually support any one of these elements. In the few moments that we have left, I would love to actually now address any questions that you might have regarding any of this material or resilience in general. And Nada, I'm wondering if we invite people to put the questions in the chat, or what would work best?
Yeah, just raise your hand and turn on your microphone, and feel free to pose any questions to Dr. Maria. So I would like to invite you all now to, you might have had some reflections on the wonderful exercises that Maria shared with us, some of your own reflections. So I'll open the floor up to our audience. And I know it's the end of the day, people are tired. But please do turn on your cameras, on your microphones, if you would like to put a question towards Maria. Yes.
I think Annette maybe has raised her hand. Is that possible?
Yeah, Annette, would you like to turn on your microphone and ask your question?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I just wanted to say a big thank you to Maria, really. I think that what you've said today, particularly on the fast skills, we've got a lot of children at the moment at school, and particularly sort of older ones as well, year 11s and IBs, struggling with the sort of changes to exams and you know, quite stressed and quite worried and anxious. And I think that those skills are really helpful, just sort of quick wins to enable them to kind of take a bit better care of themselves and be a bit more kind to themselves, really, in the light of what's been going on recently. So thank you very much for sharing those. They're brilliant.
Thank you, Annette, for that. So one of the things that we know to be true is that questions are doorways. So imagine you enter a classroom and you ask the students, how are you doing? You'll get a certain set of responses, right? But if the students settle down and you ask them, okay, what's been the best moment of the day so far? You get a whole different conversation. Same is true at home. So we want to be asking questions that actually bring us to more positive places more often in order to gain, sustain those gains of increased happiness, satisfaction, energy, resilience, vitality, health, well-being, etc. So best moment of the day, celebrating small wins. These are questions that bring us to those better territories, if you will. Thank you for that, Annette. What other questions? Yes.
We had an earlier question on the chat that will we be able to live a normal life again with holding hands, hugs, chatting together with family and friends?
I do believe we will be able to, but not right away. Not right away. I think we've got another year or so of this sort of shifting return to normalcy. There is a possibility that in the nearer future, we will be much more thoughtful about sizes of gatherings and about mask wearing and so on. But I do believe we actually will return to what we think of as normal with some modifications. The research on the vaccinations continues to be quite positive around the globe. And so as we continue, more and more of us continue to participate in vaccinations, there are greater and greater likelihood of return to what we think of as normal. Having said that, there are many businesses globally who are interested in allowing their people to continue to work at home if that works for them. So I do think we will continue to see a kind of hybrid model over the coming years. How to say no for setting healthy boundaries, right? That is $1 million question, right? The first thing we need to understand that is very helpful to us is that when we say no, we actually open the door to saying yes. So as I get better at setting the boundaries that are healthful and sustaining for me, I create more room, space internally and in my actual daily living to say yes to the things that I love and actually nourish me, right? And you want to practice. Here's a very pragmatic way of practicing. You want to practice with small challenges first. So not to set the hardest boundaries first, but to practice with small boundaries, like simply saying, you know, no, thank you. I'm going to take another 5 minutes for myself before I join that group. Or no, thank you. I'm not interested in dessert this evening. I'm satisfied as I am. Right? Set, you know, small, simple steps to practice with. That's number one. And then the second, really important, is to learn to use this phrase. Here is what is going to work for me, right? One of the issues with setting boundaries is we're so worried about hurting other people's feelings, or we're worried about how they're going to respond to us. Are they going to think that we're a difficult person or a selfish person, or, you know, are they going to feel rejected? We're so worried about how they're going to see us and how they're going to experience the boundary that we sometimes forget that we have the right to simply say, here's what's going to work. Thank you for that invitation. And here's what's going to work for me. So that is a beautiful sort of clear positive self-regard, respect building way to set a healthy boundary. I hope that's helpful for you. Let's see. Can you please tell us, I'm looking here, how I can strengthen self-compassion? Yes, self-compassion really requires a daily practice of, one, becoming quiet and bringing loving kindness to oneself. So practicing a loving kind meditation is actually a beautiful way of doing that. And then two, remembering that we are all part of a shared humanity in which no human being is perfect. So both the personal element of being kind to oneself and then connecting to a shared humanity that no human being has done everything perfectly well, and no human being ever will. No human being ever will. Nada, I see that we have 1 minute left. I'd love to turn the microphone back to you to close out. And before we do, please know, I know you have access to my information through this site. Please do write to me at any time. Please know that I am deeply, deeply grateful for all you are doing to facilitate the health and well-being of students everywhere. Your work is absolutely precious, significant frontline work. And as a parent and as someone who participates in the education field, I cannot feel more gratified and honored than to have had a moment to introduce to you some of the practices that do make a profound positive difference in our lives. Nada, thank you so much for this moment.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maria. That's just fantastic. And there's a message there. Dr. Maria, you are gorgeous. Thanks for the positivity. This meeting made my day. And I think a lot of us echo those thoughts and sentiments. A lot of messages coming through, appreciating your kindness, your generosity, and all the love that you shared with us today, Dr. Maria. So thank you so much. Very enlightening session. But may I ask and invite you, or just before you go, would love to get your feedback, as we're always looking at ways to bring to you sessions that are interesting and thought-provoking like the one today. So if I can invite you to go back to menti.com and enter that code, and just let us know overall how satisfied were you with today's session. I met Dr. Maria, what was it, 4 years ago?
Yes.
At the first International Positive Education Network conference back in Dallas. Was it 4 years ago? Or was it, no, it was the second one, wasn't it?
It was 2018, maybe?
2018. Yes, myself and Kamaria, who's also on this call. yeah, we met, and we just loved you from the moment we heard you speak on stage. So it's so lovely to have you almost in Dubai. But
nearly there.
Nearly there. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I wish you so much health and well-being, and the knowledge that as you care for yourself in your day, you will be caring for others. That they absolutely, mattering to ourselves enables us to take care of others. Know that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for your feedback there. And I'd just like to remind you, we have recorded today's session, and you can find a recording of this on the New Days, New Ways website. That session will be uploaded tomorrow. So just in case you'd like to go back and remind yourself of some of those key fast skills that Dr. Maria shared and the other content, please feel free to do so. And just a little heads up for tomorrow's session. We have Naveen Amarasuriya from the Contentment Foundation, who will be joining us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And you can find a link to his workshop within that agenda package that was sent out to everyone. So with that, I would like to thank you all for joining us once again, and heartfelt thanks to Dr. Maria Serwar. And if you were live with us, you'll be hearing a rounding applause from everyone here. And thank you to our wonderful attendees for coming along today and sharing in on the conversations. So thank you so much, Ramadan Kareem, and stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you at the next session. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.